Hello and welcome to Excel Basics Plus. Today's session we're going to be reviewing what we've learned to date. So far we've been looking at the sum function and the if function. So let's review the movie ticket sales that we've been going through. The first session we looked at movie tickets and we had each individual seller and their number of tickets sold simply in a list, and we just needed to add up those columns. We came up with the sum equals sum open bracket D6 colon D11 in order to sum the range of cells between column D, row 6 to row 11. So the colon is the range identifier, allowing you to tell Excel exactly what you want to sum. Similarly, in the total tickets, we were looking at adding up the total tickets by salesperson. And once again, we've just put a range in, equals the sum of D6 to E6. And that gave us the total tickets by salesperson. Next, we looked at what was the dollar value of sales. So we knew what each ticket would cost. It was $13.50 for the adult tickets and $9.50 for concession tickets. We then used the sum function with multiplication, and it was very simply put, D6 being the amount of adult tickets that Adam sold, multiplied by D15, which was $13.50. And remember, we pressed F4 when we put in D15 to get the dollar symbols to lock in that particular cell. That way we're able to then drag the formula down and it locks in D15 being the adult tickets price, but will vary the tickets by seller in that particular formula. From there, we wanted to work out if the salespeople were actually eligible for a bonus of some description, and that bonus was based on a threshold of selling a certain number of tickets. So in this case, it was if you'd sold more than 21 adult tickets, then you would get this bonus commission. So the formula that we came up with was an if statement. And what we're asking here is if D6, once again, the adult tickets for Adam, were greater than I15, and remember we put in the dollar symbol so that we could lock that number into the formula, which was 21, then the answer is yes. If D6 is not equal to if D6 is not greater than I15, then the answer is no. And so we've had the yeses and the nos all through here. And that's then just confirmed for us who gets the bonus commission. The last piece was to actually calculate that commission. And this is where we use the if function with a sum function. And what we looked at was if the answer is yes, for yes, Adam did actually meet the threshold of 21 tickets for adult tickets. So if I6 equals yes, this cell here, then it's the sum of D20, which is the dollar value of adult tickets, multiplied by K15, which is the commission rate, 35%. And once again, we put the dollar symbols before the column and the row number so that we lock that in, and then that way we can drag the column, drag the formula down through that column. Remember that at the end of that if statement, it's a comma 0, meaning if this is not true, then the answer is 0. Now, there's a number of different ways of putting all of this data together, and I wanted to show you specifically why we've been using that sum function with brackets. As an example, Jade, for instance, did very well in ticket sales. 32 adult and 13 tickets. She's got 45 total tickets. So she met the threshold for the adult tickets and the concession tickets for the additional bonus. So she's ending up with $169.73 in that commission bonus. But what happens if a family of 4, 2 adult tickets and 2 concession tickets, What happens if that family of 4 suddenly couldn't make it and actually had to have their tickets refunded? Well, all of a sudden, that 32 becomes 30. And when I press enter, you'll see a lot of changes just happened. The adult sales tickets went down. We then bring this down to 11 for the concession tickets, because obviously it's the 2 kids, and you'll see the concession ticket value from 123.50 down here will change to 104.50. So straight away, everything has now flowed through from us changing the actual ticket sales values for Jade. Now, the next piece would be is suddenly there was a busload of tourists that weren't going to come, and in that there were 10 ticket holders. Well, Jade's currently got $141.75 in commission on adult tickets. Now, if we change Jade's adult tickets down to 20, because those 10 other ticket holders can't make it and they want refunds, she's now lost her commission because her ticket value is now under the threshold. It comes up as no. So what you can see is this is the only data that we change. Everything else is pre-filled by a formula. So any change you make, Adam, he drops down to 20, he loses 2 tickets. He is no longer eligible for that commission. That commission disappears here. Our total ticket value down here has changed, and the total values have changed. Everything is driven by these numbers here because we have simply put in formulas to drive everything else. Now, going back to right at the beginning, we were talking about using the sum function instead of using a calculator. If you had used a calculator, and a simple one here would be, this is in essence what a calculator does. We would be looking at the ticket sales for adult tickets equals 20 plus 20 plus 15 plus 28 plus 19 plus 23. If that was the formula we had have used, and then we had to change ticket values, this is now 18, well, guess what? That doesn't change. So that is why we use the sum function in brackets to then flow through to everything else. So let's get rid of that because that doesn't work. There are a number of different ways we can display this data. We can drill down further. I've created a quick summary here, which you can see the same data in a graph coming across the screen instead of having 4 different screens like that. This can then change how you actually view data. This is also better in the sense that we're not having to chop and change the seller. So as an example here, the commission is based on this value here. What if the sales people here were not in the same order? What if Jade was at the top? Or even, if we put Elizabeth up the top, then all of a sudden that's a yes, but this is actually only calculating on that cell. So in some future videos, we're going to have a look at other things like the index and match function and the VLOOKUP function. What that in essence does is it actually looks for the salesperson in this data and returns the right result for that person. That way, you're not relying on that value having to be the same person here. So that's for the next video. Meanwhile, we have different versions of how this data can be laid out, and it is simply just make sure you're using that sum function, make sure you're using the brackets, make sure you're putting in the dollar signs to lock in certain cells if you're going to drag formulas down. So the dollar sign column, dollar sign row locks in that value, and you can literally drag the formulas down and it keeps that value static. So look, that's all for today. It was just a quick refresh of exactly where we've come to. We will move on to some more complex formulas in the coming videos. But for now, keep on practicing and look out for the next video. Thanks.